Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. Down the Rabbit Hole. In the opening chapter, Down the Rabbit Hole, Alice follows a white rabbit with a waistcoat pocket and watch. Her curiosity leads her to a rabbit hole, and she falls into the whimsical world of Wonderland. As Alice falls down the rabbit hole, she encounters a world filled with cupboards, bookshelves, maps, and pictures.
As Alice falls, she wonders if she'll come out among people who walk with their heads downwards. She's curious about the antipathies and the name of the country. Despite her curiosity, Alice is hesitant to ask for fear of appearing ignorant. But her curiosity drives her forward as she explores the long, low hall.